made a big deal, but then I was very scared. And then in the end, I don't know.
Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to the second episode of the Youth Diaries, brought to you by the Chat Plug. Today we are here with another amazing group of young people, and we are hosted by Divine Cafe, and we are having Divine Cocktail. But before we dive into the discussion, I'm going to give a chance to each and every one of you to introduce yourselves and tell our viewers who you are. I'll start with you.
And Blessing.
You're welcome, Blessing.
Yes, Kate.
Yes, Kate.
Simbawas.
You're welcome, Mercy. I hope that each of us is, well prepared to just lay it all on the table and express our views. There is no police here. No one is going to arrest you for whatever you're going to say, right? We hope that whoever is watching is excited as well, because we hope that this discussion is going to be informative and that you can learn something from what we are going to share. We have juice, we have set our minds already. We hope that this will be exciting for you guys to watch. Today we're going to discuss something in regards to body development, specifically puberty, and we're answering the question, what is your experience undergoing different body changes as a teenager, or what was your experience undergoing different body changes? I do not know your ages, but I know we have teenagers in the house, we have youth and young people in the house, adults. So yeah, the reason as to why we have this kind of, should I say, panel, or these kinds of participants, is because we want to pick minds, get experiences from whichever age brackets that you're in, so that our viewers can, sort of relate. We have so many people watching. We have parents, we have young people, we have religious leaders, all kinds of stakeholders, right? And when it comes to such things, it's all of us together. We need to join our hands, So yeah, we're discussing experiences, people. And body changes. Body changes, so many. I mean, maybe we should first understand what body changes you guys went through growing up, or are going through, because I mean, some of us are still growing. We're still 16. Yeah, so body changes. Edgar.
That's the process of changing from childhood to adulthood, and really we pass through many things. Some of them are terrible. We develop stress, we get oppressed, we lose self-esteem, and really passing through that stage, which is always delicate, it is a magical thing. Happens.
Naturally happens.
It naturally
so you
happens.
have no idea.
But until when you start hearing people saying that, guy, you are not growing beards, that's when you know that really your age mates are leaving you behind. And then it tickles your thinking, that really your body should be changing.
Your body should be changing. What are some of those changes that you should actually be seeing as a girl? I'll start with you, Kate. Evidently, you're a young man. You're the young man in the house. What body changes have you experienced, or do you think that young people that your age are experiencing, young men or young boys like you?
Depending on the voice.
Depending on the voice. So did your voice become big?
Yeah.
It did.
Yes.
Before you spoke like a girl. See, share with us, what body changes are you experiencing, or have you experienced?
Well, I'm experiencing. I'm not yet experiencing.
Okay.
Oh, I'm growing hips.
Okay.
Yeah, around me.
That is interesting. Okay.
My hips are coming round. Yeah.
Okay. Hips. Mercy, have you had that?
What?
Do you have hips?
I don't know. Check out.
She's still undergoing puberty.
Okay, Mercy. Body changes. Think back to when you were a teenager and it all started. Which significant changes would you see? Those physical changes that we term as the period puberty.
I remember, I think I was like in P7 or peacefully. Yeah, peacefully around there. Then of course you see others breasts are growing and you want yours to grow, but mine hadn't come out yet. Okay, like I was like, how does it feel to have breasts?
I get
Then
you.
after they started coming, then I would see like women with big breasts. Then I'm like, sometimes I get anxious. Will my breasts be as big as those ones?
I
Because I really
know.
never wanted the big
I get
ones.
you.
Then you hear stories of people saying if you put this and this, the breast won't be big. There's some insect they used to talk about. It lives in water. Why? I don't know the name. And like if you get that one and you put it on the and it bites on the breast, they're not going to be big.
Yeah.
And I'm like, should I go and look for that one? I don't know what to do. Others were like, if you get a mingling stick and
That one. That one. I
like, should I
remember.
do these things? But then I decided not to do anything. I was like, should I ask my mom? Or then I'm like, let me just leave. If they are big, let them be big. But then I was very scared. And then in the end, I don't know. Depends whether you
You're
are.
analyzing and seeing if they're actually big
Yeah,
or not big.
but I don't think they went to that size that I never wanted.
I get you.
Yeah, and then the other changes, of course, menstruation. I recall the first day I had my periods, it was terrible.
Oh.
Yeah, so because I was actually in senior one, like second semester. I hadn't gone at school with pads, those things. But I knew about pads, but I hadn't taken. I did shop them. But then there's an older girl that I was used to. I talked to her, then she gave me pads, she showed me how to use them. Yeah, that's how it started. Yeah.
Thank you, Mercy. That's interesting, guys. I feel like she has given us a full-blown experience of what the young Mercy went through. And I think my experience was like almost similar because when it came to the Murawo, for me, I didn't want boobs. And you know what happened is that my aunties are telling you, you're growing and your boobs are going to become big. You get? So they would get amla. Actually, over it had to be warm. It had to be the amla that is warm, not cold. And then they heat, you know? And it had to be over the senga that heats. A lot of technicalities and what that were
And I'm not sure whether it works.
We women
Exactly,
using
yeah.
concoction starts as early as before puberty.
Exactly.
Because if at that age you are already using insects and what, I think
Yeah.
that's where you get to know how
So
the
yeah,
I
herbs
think
and
it's
what.
something that we never talk about at home. Like they don't tell you what to expect. You hear it from maybe your peers or I don't know.
I get you.
Yeah.
And you open up a very pertinent discussion. We're experiencing all these body changes as young people, as young girls and young boys. Growing of hips, deepening of voices, boys chests broaden, you know? Menstruation,
Beard.
beards,
Breasts
beards.
also, we also develop breasts at that stage, but for us we have also to use some forces to keep them at a certain
I
level.
think
You
you
have
see
to-
the things that is now bringing in external forces.
Big.
You are using a certain period, like after 5 minutes you have to press them to the sociological things we pass through. It is embarrassing that a guy to have breasts, like they are peeping through your shirt. So you have to fight them. As ladies are praying for them, for us we are their side fighting them.
I get you.
Yeah.
And I think you brought up something that we are going to discuss further later. How is the society influencing how we perceive or how we should look like or how we shall, but I think we shall have a specific episode for that.
Yeah.
So body changes, we've discussed them, we've understood them. And Mercy talked about something very important, which is sources of information. So you guys, did you actually have anyone walk you through this particular stage of puberty? If you're still undergoing puberty, because some of us are still growing, like I said. Is there anyone who is walking you through it? Because, I mean, you feel all sorts of things when you see your body changing.
Yeah.
For me, it was quite scary, but exciting at the same time, you know? Because you know you're growing and probably you're going to get those hips and you're going to grow that bam, and you know, it's exciting, but it's scary at the same time because some people judge you for the way you're going to look.
Yeah.
You may judge yourself for the way you're going to look. So, sources of information. Did anyone talk to you? Kate, I want to know from you. Did mommy or daddy sit you down? Did anyone, school, or I don't know?
When I experienced my body changes, I couldn't tell my parents because I fear them.
Okay.
Then, when I was still learning, we hosted some counselors. They guided us, they counseled us.
Okay.
So,
So it was counselors, like at school?
yeah.
Before that, you hadn't sat with mommy or daddy to discuss those things? That's very interesting. Okay, counselors. I remember counselors back then in school as well. Blessing.
Me, it's my mom who took me through it.
Okay.
It was in my P5 when I used to see my big sisters putting on pads. So I used to ask mommy, why do these ones put on pampers? They are old, they are old. Then one time when I reached P7, yeah, it was actually first term. She came and told me, oh, Blessing, you in P7 and you haven't experienced menstruation. I asked what is menstruation, so she explained everything to me. So actually it was in that same year, 2016. It was Christmas holiday, actually it was back. We had gone out and we had eaten a lot of chocolate. So we came back, my abdomen was paining a lot. So when I was going to shower, and I saw droplets in my knicker. So I went to her, I told her, Mommy, my stomach is paining and this doesn't look like, oops, what is this? Then she called my big sister, they showed me how to put on a pad. They told me I'm supposed to shower, how many times I'm supposed to change. So technically, she walked me through the journey and she's still walking with me throughout the journey.
I think that's amazing. Kudos to you, man, guys. Just a small hand clap to Blessing, man, because that's beautiful.
And things through the peer groups. So when you are in a grazing area, that's where you learn most of the things. Maybe the only thing that the parent could teach you, it could be through I may call it abusive language. Like you are doing certain thing, getting you are almost growing beards.
You know, one day you'll grow
You are
beards.
growing beards, or you have started already. So you know that your body changes. The fact that somebody is telling you that you should not be doing certain thing because you are growing beards, it means your body has changed.
So it
Yeah.
means
So
when
you
you
have-
grow beard, you're now too big to
To
not
be
to
to
do
do
certain
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 things.
things.
Yeah.
But most things we learn them from our peers. Because
Peers.
you see, peer members, your peer members, it is easy for them to tell you or to learn by seeing, really.
True.
Yeah, by seeing, and you are like, I have started growing pubic hair. And you know, some things you just have to get the evidence by just sight. So if somebody shows you like your age mates have already started, you are in a line, so your body have started changing, you are growing beards, somebody is telling you, I have hair in the armpits, and you are like, the day when you get them, you go tell them that now I have also joined you, I have also got some. So that's how we get, usually used to get information about the puberty and puberty stages.
Yeah, peers. Very pertinent source of information. I think we'll break that down more later when we move on. Mercy, tell us, for you, who told you? Did you teach yourself? what was the dynamic of your getting informed about these things?
So I grew up with at home with like 3 sisters who are already in high school, and I used to see what they do. Then like in P4 I went to a boarding school, so that's where I used to get my information from. Of course, friends. Then things like, okay, there's somebody changes that you couldn't go to a person and ask because you'd have been knowing them, things like pubic hair. But then, as in a single sex school in primary, then the big girls who will always shower from anywhere, and you the young ones have, sometimes you go and peep and
peep and
what's that?
Yeah,
Yeah, sounds like, are we going to grow up and also get this hair? Or so sometimes maybe you have a friend and you're like, I saw the other girl, the other big girl, and you describe what you saw, and then you're like, are we going to also get this? And like, yes, even the other person has them. When a fellow kid, like in your classmate, starts getting pubic hair, and you're like, you start gossiping. she has pubic hair. She has now grown. So yeah, but would be
older
shy
than
to
us.
talk about these things.
Yeah.
You talk about them like in an enclosed environment. You don't want others to hear you. But most information comes from peers. Because my mom never told me anything, even about menstruation. Nothing. Nothing. Like maybe the matron at school, yeah, would come and talk to you. Even the senior ladies and what they come and tell you about menstruation, about hygiene, about you're going to start sweating and the salt you have to shower. Yeah, so some things you know them before experiencing them. Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that was the beauty of being in a boarding school. Because if I wasn't, I know my sisters wouldn't open up and tell me about things like pubic hair and what. Yeah. But going to the boarding school had helped me to know certain things before experiencing.
I get you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you speak a lot about pubic hair, and I remember I was interacting with one of my colleagues at work, and she told me when they were doing research, and they asked this young boy, what was your experience when you started growing pubic hair? And then he's like, Naloza timfunye byoya. Translation, it was like I had gotten what is byoya in English? Like, should I say far?
Yeah.
Yes, like far. So he thought that, am I becoming a dog? Am I becoming an animal, a chimpanzee or something? Because he didn't know. Exactly. So clearly there are people out there that do not have accurate information about these body changes. And it makes you feel some kind of way. It could be embarrassing. I remember back then in primary, if you saw someone raise up their hand and they had pubic hair, everyone would be like, oh my God, look at what he has. That sort of thing. Because I remember in my primary school, that is how it was. People would actually laugh at you and be like, what is that in your armpits?
Yeah.
And then when you reach the other side in secondary school, if you don't have breasts, you start feeling bad.
Out
and you're
of
like,
place.
out of place, exactly. So
Start giving you nicknames.
nicknames, And so it was really it's a confusing time for most of us, But I think basing on that, I think that draws us to the discussion of basing on those different feelings that are triggered by the puberty stage. What challenges did we go through at that time? Because you're now in that stage of your body is changing. It can be quite challenging, It can be. So I want to pick your minds, people. What challenges did you go through? Edgar, I'll start with you. Was it a challenging period? It could have not been challenging, Maybe you just walked in like a bad man and rose above everything.
It may not have been challenging to me myself,
Yeah.
but I really saw how we treated other people. But talking about myself first, it was it opened up the doors of people to bully me. Like, puberty always comes at a defined years.
True.
And if you start growing beards, like for us boys, then you automatically have become an adult in the class of young people. So it doesn't give that peace of mind. Wet dreams,
Yeah.
for us, for it was terrible.
Terrible is a
Because
strong word, people. Terrible is a strong word.
At first I thought I had done suicide on my bed, and that was it, and a heavy punishment for my parents. Then when I woke up, I found it was not suicide, but another white cream product. So it gave me, I almost stayed in the bed for almost 3 hours, gauging on how I will tell
How
my
you're
parents
going to
why
tell
I'm
your parents.
taking my things out.
I get
Yeah,
you.
so it was challenging. It tortured me mentally because I really failed to explain. Actually, for me, I didn't tell my parents that I'm even experiencing some changes.
Yeah.
I didn't tell them because it was embarrassing to
It
me.
was embarrassing. Would you like to share with us? Do you find that stage challenging in any way? It may not even be you personally, but it could be your best friend or your brother. Do you think there are challenges that are attached to having body changes come as you grow up? Share with us some of those challenges.
The first challenge, as we were still studying, we had some competitions. When they hear you having a deep voice, for you they separate you, they mix. That was the only challenge I faced.
That was the only challenge you faced.
Yeah,
The ones with
mixing,
the bass
yes.
and the vocal and
Hey,
what?
oh, so wait, those competitions, they be like singing competitions,
Yeah.
what? Actually, now that you speak about it, I also remember. They'd be like, those ones with deep voices. One side. Mama again don't call it okuyimba bass.
Or you won't take the
I'll
part
just
in this
have like
part.
a soft one, tenor.
Tenor, exactly. I remember. I'm so sorry about that challenge. I want you to tell us how you overcome it after Blessing tells us what challenges she went through.
Me, I got a high appetite.
Okay. And that is new. We hadn't even discussed that yet, right?
I got a high appetite to the extent I think I would call my mom every after 3 weeks for pocket money. I would eat a lot and I was in a boarding school. So I'm coming back home, everyone is like, Blessing, you've grown fat, Blessing, and they expand that issue. Where is appetite coming from with that size? So I'm like, people first leave me alone. So reaching at home, the appetite just increased. Now I'm not seeing portion, I'm not seeing beans. So I would eat everything I find. By the time I left home, reaching at school, even the uniform couldn't fit. So I'm like, what is? And my mom is like, why are you taking all this weight? Then I also faced a challenge. I think I became sensitive to everything.
Did you experience challenges or where you were also like superwoman? You just flew through that stage like no one can touch me.
No. I think one of the challenges is getting mixed up information.
Yeah.
Leon says this, Leon says this, and you don't know which is which. Like, what should I do? And then of course you're like, who should I believe? This person is older. This is my classmate. You know, which information should I take in? So we grow up with a lot of myths and misconceptions, like about things. Say, for example, things about sex. Yeah. Because they would be like, once you start your menstruation, you're eligible for pregnancy. So me, I grew up and I used to fear sex. Talking about sex and then pregnancy, I'd be like, I'll be dead. Anything about sex. And the mere fact that I was in a single school, like for my primary, I grew up, okay, like that period, I used to fear boys a lot. Holidays, I would be home, I never used to move out. I'm going to move out and maybe they rape me or something happens and I get pregnant. And then, of course, sometimes you have no one to talk to and you have things you have to ask about and you have no one like to talk to confidentially. You know, I'm going to talk to my peer and then they tell the next person near them.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of information gap which I think needs to be bridged. Then the other thing is when we're growing up, sometimes we don't have that confidence and self-esteem, like to speak.
Yeah.
Be a strategy to help young people or children to grow up knowing that they can speak about things that they don't feel comfortable about or they need clarity about.
Yeah.
Aggressive, eh?
Yeah.
Like you, when you by the way, when you say a primary kid fighting a teacher, you should not really like run to judge him because there is the way how puberty brings aggressiveness in people. Eh? Yeah.
Thank you. I think that is very important. Some people are not aware that puberty can come with these different behaviors or behavior change, you know. And then sometimes your parent is going to hit you and slap you without talking to you and first
not
understanding
knowing why,
why you're acting
was
that
it in
way.
intention or just just happened?
Yeah. Not forgetting the fact that some people actually do it intentionally. Because I'm sure we have adults who are still stubborn and bullies even when they are, I will not say much. I want us to discuss way forward. because now we have understood from the discussion, we see that there are actually different body changes. But young people are not aware of these changes. We know that these changes do exist and they cause us to feel a certain way about ourselves. For example, my challenge would be that weight fluctuation was really difficult on my end. Because when I was really small in primary, and then when I reached senior 1, I got friends who are, should I say, curvy and that sort of thing. And in my head I'm like, I look at myself, I look this side, I'm like,
I'm missing a body part.
Exactly. I'm missing a body part. Where is the bum? Where are the hips? Where are the breasts? And then I reach Form 2, Form 3, and they came all at once. So in my head I was still comprehending why I don't have them, and then they hit me all at once and I had them, and then I reached senior 4 and everyone is telling me, you're too fat, you don't look good when you wear this dress, you don't look good when you wear these pants. And then I reached Form 5 and I reduced, and still people are judging you for it, So it was tough on my end, and I didn't know how to maneuver all that. But people, and there are actually young people like that who are watching who don't know how to maneuver such situations, What can we do as young people? What can the stakeholders out there do in order to understand that, we as young people, they went through this themselves, right?
Yeah.
Our parents went through this. The religious leaders, the cultural leaders, we hold them in high regard, which is true because they have influence on the stuff that we do, how society behaves, What can we do to make society better in terms of us being more accepting and understanding of puberty changes when it comes to young people? What do you think we can do? What do you think mommy and daddy can do in order for you to understand better, or for your little...
What I think is that, like my parents, should have to first leave some time for me.
Okay.
Time. They spend much time on work. They don't mind about me.
Yeah. So they should give you more time.
Yeah.
And not make it about work, right? Timetable, that fortunate day when they are around, and then you're like, and they're like, who just stopped? And they look at you like,
and then by saying you started being rude.
Exactly.
Opinion, I think like for schools, they should employ that extra, should I say, help of hiring counselors in school to advise and to talk to the genders, like for those who can't get that information from their parents. At least if you're at school and the counselors speak to you, they educate you on how to go through, like for example at my case, I was in Trinity College, and they have counselors. So every Wednesday afternoon they would come to speak to us. Actually the first session in Form 1, they are teaching us how to put on pads. For those who hadn't experienced, those who aren't taught, they're telling us the diseases that come about if we don't take care of ourselves. So they should have that extra energy in schools.
Yeah, I get you. These schools that bring these counselors or that use these senior ladies or these wardens to speak to us should also be quite careful on who they select to pass on this information. In the sexual reproductive health and rights world, we have what they call youth-friendly services. And part of youth-friendly services is that we need to have people who are actually welcoming and are willing to listen to young people even when they have an issue. Not someone accurate information, accurate and age-appropriate information, because we all know that at different ages, you need particular information.
It has to be done in 3 stages.
Okay.
That is individual, then family level, and the community.
Very important.
Help the country, teach their, include all sex, like boys and girls.
Very true.
Like, because the stress girls or boys get, it is not from the same sex. You always get, remember you are rating it to what other sex thinks about me. Like if you are not developing best and you're a girl, you are like, what are they calling me, the boys? If that first menstrual, when you go through it and you are not prepared, though some girls also laugh, but mostly boys, they are the one who insist on it, because from home they are not told about that it is natural.
Yeah.
They should actually give a hand instead of laughing and bullying the girls.
And should I say things that stood out for me are male involvement. I think this is something that, should I say, the nature of our country, the nature of our societies does not quite pay attention to. Yeah, we're still lacking in that particular area. And right now we need to know that both boys and girls need to know this information.
Yeah.
Whilst you think that a young boy shouldn't know about menstruation, it's happening to his sister, it's happening to his friend.
Yeah.
One day it's going to happen to his daughter in future when he
But
grows up.
in the long term,
In the long term, you know? So we need to be quite careful about ensuring that both young girls and boys get this information, even in the same space, so long as it's age appropriate. And then you spoke of the policies. We really do need to strive to create a supportive environment, because, you know, duty bearers are at the top. And if they do not create that environment for us where young people are going to safely acquire this information, then everything is on hold. Everything,
Involvement.
yeah.
Because on Sunday, as a church, and then the preacher said we have many men who have children, but then we don't have fathers in the country. It's different.
Different.
Yeah, they're two different things. Having children and then being a father. I mean, being involved in your children's lives. You know, supporting them all the way through. So I think we need parents, especially fathers, to be more involved. Even in the things they usually say, oh, these are things for women. We need to be involved, because it takes a collective effort to make an impact or to make a change in the children's lives. So you talked about also the policies, and then for the parents also to make a self-reflection, like, I passed through these things, and my child has reached at this stage, and I need to support them instead of blaming them, you know, hitting them up because they're doing certain things that are not acceptable. Or what? So they need to support their children. And then at school, I think we still have some gaps, because even some of the people who pass on this information are not informed.
True.
Yeah, they're just saying the things they know, but then they try.
Yeah.
But then they also need maybe to go an extra mile of learning more about sexuality and how to deal with our bodies. But we appreciate everything they are doing. You already talked about the policies.
The cultural and religious leaders themselves, you know, they have an impact. You know, it was really good that your church and the whoever was leading the congregation spoke about that. This is what we want religious leaders to do. Speak about these things whenever you get the chance to, because they have a huge platform and they can influence change, you know. Cultural leaders as well. They need to play an important part. And the media, because media has a great impact. I mean, you guys, this generation, I don't think any of us can live without this gadget here, you know. I mean, even right now, I'm moderating this session, but my phone is actually aiding the discussion, you know. So media has a part. We young people have a part as well, you know. I think we also need to take on the responsibility after the duty bearers and our parents have created that safe environment. We need to take charge of the situation, guys, right? Whenever we can get informed, let us get informed. Whenever we can get accurate information and we can help our little sisters and our little brothers or our friends or anyone out there like you guys are doing right now, because I believe people are learning so much, people who are watching us. I think it's great that we can have such platforms where we can educate each other and learn from each other, right?
Get information before you take certain steps or make certain decisions that relate to your body.
Store for you when it comes to other episodes in the Youth Diaries. We shall dig deeper in some of the issues we've discussed. We'll probably have an episode on menstruation, on body image, like she said, and other issues that are directly linked to, you know, body development, body growth, and sexuality in general, right? To our esteemed viewers, it's always lovely to have you guys. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel at right here, right now. Be sure to give it a thumbs up. Video, Please drop your comments in the comment section. Let us know what you think. We really took the feedback for the first episode in good faith, and we have a lot more in store for you, right? Follow us on our socials as well. That is Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at right here, right now, Uganda, which is at RHRN_UG, such that you can get updates on sexuality and issues to do with young people, right?
Yeah.
We have also been hosted by Divine Cafe, Divine Cocktails, guys. Cheers. So much for tuning in. Until next time.